Hey guys, so we're just filming a quick video today because our New Year's resolution is to start posting more videos. I have so many notes of content that I've been wanting to talk about. It's just been hard finding time because we have a new furry friend in the house. This is Isis. I've nicknamed her Cannoli because I think she looks like cannoli. But she came to us in September and we've been taking care of her ever since. And she's actually epileptic, so this poses another challenge for us, trying to alter her diet and figure out what things we can add in and what we can do for her to kind of manage her seizures without using phenobarbital or Keppra or anything like that. So this video is going to be some quick resolutions of some natural things that you can add to your dog's diet, to your dog's lifestyle, to make them healthier and support just overall well-being. The first thing we're going to talk about is nutrition. You've seen my other videos, you know that's probably my favorite topic. So she eats pretty much what Rush eats, but we're tailoring it to work it up to a keto diet. So right now she's at 65% fat. We're trying to work our way up to 80 to make it closer to keto, but we believe that that's her best option right now, because the high fat and sending her body into ketosis should definitely help with inflammation, which can contribute to seizures. So on the topic of nutrition, some New Year's resolutions on things that you can do to improve what you are giving your dog is, of course, look into our videos about raw diets, keto diets if you have a dog with chronic illness, or even home cooked diets, and whether you decide to feed those full-time or to mix in with the dry food or the wet food, like the store-bought stuff that you currently feed. As long as you can contribute a little bit of fresh food to their diet, it's better than nothing. So do the best that you can with the budget that you have and the time that you have, and our videos are there to help you figure out how to start those. And then we're going to talk about treats, better treats and superfoods and things like that that you can add to whatever it is you feed, whether it's raw, it's cooked, or it's store-bought. Some of the things we like to add to her food are raw eggs, so chicken eggs. Occasionally I'll find quail eggs in the supermarket and we use those as a topper. Those are loaded with vitamins that they won't typically get in dry food. Another thing that we like to add are sardines. When we can find them frozen and raw, that's of course ideal because you know they're not processed and there's nothing really in them. And then alternatively, if you can't find those, then canned sardines in water with no salt added, like the one pictured here, are probably your best bet. As far as treats too, we eat a lot of vegetables in this house. I have substantially cut down the amount of meat that I eat. So there's a lot of veggie scraps. So things like the tops of carrots and tomatoes. I keep this ice cube tray in the freezer, and as I dice up whatever it is we're using for our dinner, I'll go ahead and freeze the scraps that are doggy safe. And stick them in there, and then everything eventually gets dumped into the tray next to it so that they have frozen treats handy all the time. So tomatoes are popular here, carrots, the bottoms and tops of celery. If I have an apple that's just a little too mushy for our liking, I'll slice it up and I'll freeze it and throw it in here. Pineapple cores, strawberry tops, pretty much anything with the exception of garlic and onions. I mean, we don't give garlic to our dogs. I've seen conflicting advice about garlic is poisonous or garlic is good for them. We just kind of stay away from it. We haven't had the need for it. As far as anti-flea things and anti-inflammation, antiviral, there are a lot of other options out there. We use ginger for flea and tick protection year round. We actually use this product, and it is a powdered supplement, and you just kind of add it to their food. It comes in two versions, a yeast and a yeast-free. It basically smells like garlic, so I think there is powdered garlic in here. I'll post the ingredients list in the photo. But we use this year round, and supposedly the more you give it to your dogs, then the more less appetizing they smell to bugs. So I don't focus on it as much in the winter, but I'd say probably around February, March, I'll start working it into their diets so that by the time the summer comes around, we are covered for flea protection. Luckily, we don't have it too bad out here, so this usually does suffice. And then we use a spray like Vet's Best to kind of add another layer of defense when the summer months get really, really damp. We do have like a grassy area out back, so we're on the lookout for that because we are in a dog-friendly building, so I'm sure if we did have a flea infestation, it would spread pretty quickly. But moving on to other New Year's resolutions, I'm going to touch on environment. So seizures in general, sometimes they can be a response to, say like a reaction to a poisonous substance. So if they get into something they shouldn't, or a toxic plant or something like that, that's typically the suspect. But since her seizures have been recurring, we think that it's kind of just in her DNA. So the vet has deemed her to be epileptic. So a lot of the things that we avoid are anything that is kind of considered too toxic and would put a strain on her system. One of those things being vaccinations. So we did speak with our vet and we got an exemption for her rabies shot. Again, anytime we walk them, anytime we're out, they're leash walked, and I wouldn't say they get, contact with like wild animals, or even if they do get into scruffles. Do you see this dog? Lazy. Even if they do get into a scuffle with another dog, we're usually right there. And it is required in this building to have their rabies certificate. So we're not too worried about that. So we skip that vaccine with permission and documentation from our vet. And then we skip Bordetella and what else is out there? Lepto, Parvo. And just do without it because we don't want to. She's throwing a hissy fit right now, so I'm not petting her. Hey, come here. So we don't vaccinate her. Rush gets just his rabies shot because it's required by law, but we skip everything else. So one of the interesting things that we have been skipping at the vet is dewormer, and instead we've been using ground pumpkin seeds, and we just sprinkle a good amount over their food, and there is a compound in there that prevents parasitic worms and kind of scares them off. Another thing regarding environment is flea and tick protection, so we don't use any of that. And just around the house, we've tried to eliminate a lot of things that give off toxic fumes, like candles. We used to get so many for the holidays. Like, I was such a sucker for like those Yankee Candle scents, but I will post the link below of the video that made me reconsider all of that. And we've since switched to an essential oil diffuser, which we've had for a while. We used to use it for Raven to diffuse frankincense, which was supposed to help with cancer. But now we use it just to keep our home smelling good. Our favorite scent for this winter, we mix orange and cinnamon in there, and it smells just as good as that Yankee Candle stuff, but it's so much better for the pets. If you have cats in the house, I would suggest doing a little research on the EOs because I know that they're a lot more sensitive to essential oils, and there are some essential oils that they can't have or can't be around compared to dogs. So just do some legwork on that. And then another thing that we've done around our house is we stopped using floor cleaner. And I mean, we did this with Raven too, because we were super sensitive about making sure that her environment was toxic free. But we're obsessed with our steam mop and we still use it. And I think it's a great way to clean the house the way you want to without using chemicals. Because you have to think, these dogs, you know, they're laying on the floor, their paws come into contact with the floor and they don't sweat. So essentially, like, their sweat glands are on their paws. So they soak up everything that they touch. With that being said, there is so much salt on the sidewalk lately. So when we've been coming inside, I've been making sure to kind of rinse their paws off. Rush is a little tougher because he's huge, so I'll just take like a wet washcloth and kind of wipe in between his paws and make sure that all that salt residue comes off. So those are just some little things you can work into your daily routine and think about how to make the doggy's environment less toxic. And then last but not least, some exercise resolutions for me too, because I put on like 10 pounds. But she requires a lot more exercise than Rush. Rush is like super lazy. He's a homebody, but he does like to go out. He doesn't love to like jog. And usually when he's outside, it's more nose work for him than it is like physical stimulation. But we learned with her, it was suggested that we really get some good exercise in both physically and mentally during the day because her seizures tend to happen at night. So basically work the brain, get it all amped up all morning long, and then by the time the night comes around, it's true rest for her and her mind and her brain, and we can hopefully lessen the frequency of her seizures. And we're doing well. So the first bout was about 20 days in between, and now we're at 53 days and counting. So she's doing much better. So just those are some things that you can think about. Goals for 2020 on how to make your pup's life healthier and happier and just support their well-being. Hopefully I will stick to my New Year's resolution, and you'll be seeing more videos from us soon too. Happy New Year, everyone. Say Happy New Year, Cannoli.